The next restoration project here is if you notice, this is a 12-string instrument. But if you look closely, that this is a 4-coursed 12-string instrument. Not like a 12-string guitar. That bridge is taking a beating, but it's still doable. It's a little cracked. Actually, this is the nut. Okay, we're missing a fret marker there. I don't have any perloid or anything, but I do have some wild boar tusk that I can cut down to fit in there. And I do have some beads from lure making. I could probably drop one of them in there. And if all else fails, I could do the trick where you mix up baking soda with crazy glue and it creates pretty much an imitation mineral thing. Anyway, if you haven't guessed what the instrument is, these are all inlays. Wow, we're missing some here. This is from Medellin, Colombia, or Medellin. I don't see a year, a date. This is a Tiplé Colombiano. And Tiplé is a Spanish word that means treble. I tried to order strings for this from Just Strings, which is usually really good about finding exotic strings. That's where I get the strings for my 8-string bass guitar. I can't find them, but I did find them from 2 other sites, and so now I have probably 2 to 3 sets of strings showing up. Again, this is from the same friend that I fixed the guitar for. This was her father's instrument, I believe. And Tiplé is spelled T-I-P-L-E. There's a lot of resources out there. Some decent wear on this thing. But again, this is not a restoration. This is just a repair and a cleanup. Depending on how old this instrument is, these tuning pegs are either plastic or ivory, and they feel like they're ivory. So I need to be very careful with these. The machine heads, the machines are actually in really good shape, or they appear in good shape. So when it comes to taking the strings off, we'll find out. But overall, I'm not seeing, ooh, that's bad. There's a crack in the body right there. I'm not seeing any separation of the heel. So thankfully there's no big glue job happening today. The binding, not too bad. It's just in rough shape. and it just needs a little bit of TLC. I'm not going to be able to replace the mother of pearl inlays. And once again, we're going to use Pledge Revive It Restoring Oil. And every guitarist, guitar builder, guitar aficionado is going to see this and say, oh no, don't use Pledge. There's really nothing wrong with using Pledge, especially a little bit goes a long way, especially when you're trying to clean up an old instrument that has been left in a garage in its case for God knows how many years. All right, so 6 minutes into it, let's get to work. Here's some advice. Before you take the strings off with wire cutters, wire dikes, do not, I repeat, do not cut the strings while they are in tension. So you need to loosen the strings as much as possible before you do so. I recently picked up one of these, which is a peg winder that goes on a drill, because I used to sit there for hours. Now I have this, it's probably one of the reasons why I never bought a 12-string guitar. Might as well buy one now. Now I have this. Anyway, just a tip. Okay, the strings are removed. I'm almost convinced that these are ivory. This is not plastic. The strings are off. I did hear some minor cracking, but that might be just abuse. I'm just hoping this is veneer. But it looks, that crack could be really structural. So, the only thing we can do is find somebody with extremely small hands to investigate this. Usually there's hidden goodies inside sound holes. There's nothing in there. Usually you find like guitar picks in there or something. All right, let's clean her up. What's really cool is when I looked in the case for the Tiplé, inside it were a really old set of labella strings. I don't know how old these strings are, and I have almost a complete set. Now the problem is that these strings are so old that they have oxidized. They're rusty. So it would be kind of reckless to put these strings on. Unless, of course, we somehow treat them with oil or boil them to get the grit off. That was an old bass player's trick, which really made no sense. Because once a string is stretched out, it's really unusable. There's no second life for it. I mean, you can try. So I'm not going to use these. I'm very tempted, but I'm not going to, because the strings they're almost black in color from oxidation. I'm surprised that they're not falling apart. Another cool thing is there was the remnants of a Tiplé string. Also, we're missing just one string. So this set of 12 is 11. And it also answered a question that the person that restrung this, or attempted to restrung it wrong. So this is a pack of strings by a manufacturer I've never heard of, called Troubadour. Made in Western Germany. I wonder where that is. Okay, so Western Germany, obviously West Germany. So we can assume that these strings were manufactured before 1989. And the guitar, or the Tiplé itself, is probably, this could be from the 1960s, 1970s, because if I am correct in my assumption that these pegs and that nut and that bridge, I believe the pegs and the nut could be ivory. The nut might be bone, but I believe this is ivory. And the pegs are definitely ivory. They're not plastic. Late 60s, early 70s, before ivory, they stopped using ivory in any commercial sense. Just another, neat thing about working on old instruments. Okay, we just cleaned it up. See the nice wet finish. But I'm noticing that there are cracks. But it cleaned up nice. The wood cleaned up nice. But there's also something that I am, really remarkable about these older quality instruments. That if this was an instrument made in the last 5 or 10 or 20, 15, 20 years maybe, even in the 1990s, even older, I would say that in the condition it was stored, it probably would be a pile of firewood. It would probably be in a lot worse condition. The materials that went into this instrument and the construction quality, from what I can tell, is, I can't say anything else, superb. I mean, anything that survives, being in an old case, tuned wrong, tuned tight. The case is even in good shape. So again, it's a testament to the quality. That's all I can say. I'm considering placing a fragment of a pink bead there just to do something. Either that, or I'll just mix up some some baking soda and super glue and see if that works. I just want to see what this looks like on the guitar, on the instrument. Yeah, it looks kind of cheesy. Okay, the baking soda trick. And I was like, okay, how do I get baking soda into that tiny spot? The check tool. Not just for cleaning your pipe. Now I need some crazy glue, super glue, whatever. Put a drop in there and we'll see what happens. Follow up. Okay, that dot inlay was created using the baking soda and super glue effect. I had to sand it down a little bit because some got on the edges, and as a result of that I stripped some of the color off of the fret. That can be easily corrected, obviously, with brown shoe polish or something similar. However, I will probably leave it alone because I've done enough. It's not going to affect the playability of it, and the fretboard will probably darken with age and playing. Anyway, the next step is to restring it. And also notice the inlays here. That's copper wire. And I believe these inlays are ivory. So the original inlays were ivory. The bridge is ivory. Those dots back there, the bridge pins, are ivory. And the tuning pegs are ivory. I inspected them closely. The nut is also ivory. I inspected them closely and I didn't see any seams. And I noticed a crack on one of them. It doesn't have the same properties as plastic. And also, ivory has a specific pull to it. It has a specific feel. So if you've ever played an ivory keyed piano, you'd know what I'm talking about. There's nothing like it. There's nothing synthetic that truly matches the quality. But we have strings coming on the way. And let's see, let's hope this is a success and doesn't turn into a spring trap when I put the strings on it. Follow up. Okay, that dot inlay was created using the baking soda and super glue effect. I had to sand it down a little bit because some got on the edges, and as a result of that I stripped some of the color off of the fret. That can be easily corrected, obviously, with brown shoe polish or something similar. However, I will probably leave it alone because I've done enough. It's not going to affect the playability of it, and the fretboard will probably darken with age and playing. Anyway, the next step is to restring it. And also notice the inlays here. That's copper wire. And I believe these inlays are ivory. So the original inlays were ivory. The bridge is ivory. Those dots back there, the bridge pins, are ivory. And the tuning pegs are ivory. I inspected them closely. The nut is also ivory. I inspected them closely and I didn't see any seams. and I noticed there's a crack on one of them. Doesn't have the same properties as plastic, and also ivory has a specific pull to it. It has a specific feel. So if you've ever played an ivory keyed piano, you'd know what I'm talking about. There's nothing like it. There's nothing synthetic that truly matches the quality. But we have strings coming on the way. And let's see, let's hope this is a success and doesn't turn into a spring trap when I put the strings on it.